going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fans View podcast. This week, I am so excited to revisit my childhood tag team wrestler that I loved growing up. He is a professional wrestler. It's been in the business over 20 years now. He's a multiple-time WWF, now WWE, tag team champion. And he's also a member of the well-known group, the backstage group, the BSK. I want to welcome onto the podcast Mr. Mark Henry Godwinn, Canterbury. Mark, how are you doing tonight, man?
Whoop, whoop. What up, boy? Good to see you, Jared. Oh, I've been excited. You had Godfather, right? On here?
I talked to Godfather for a few minutes at River City Wrestling Con. I haven't gotten the full talk with him yet.
Yeah, cool, man. So, we'll talk a little, tell some stories, talk a little BSK or whatever you want to talk about.
Oh, man, I'm so excited. I was telling you before we were rolling, we could probably have a podcast strictly of BSK stories, but I'm not 100% sure you could tell a lot of them publicly.
I was going to probably have to sign some waivers, and some of them I have to take to the grave, Taker said, so.
Hey, that's fair. If the big man says it's so, then we're just going to leave it alone. We're going to leave it at that. So I guess I want to start at the very beginning. When did you first become a wrestling fan, and who were some of your favorites?
Oh, my God. When I first got in the business, people I liked when I was growing up was Dusty Rhodes, Junkyard Dog, Ivan Putski. I'm telling my age, too. Loved Austin Idol, Wildfire Tommy Rich. Still talk to him a lot. And I was a big Dusty fan. So, how ironic when I went to WCW, Dusty and Cowboy Bill Watts was running the territory down there. So I worked Eric Watts, which he had just come from University of Louisville, just graduated playing quarterback up there. So Cowboy had a match with Eric at center stage. We had a hell of a 7-8 minute match there in Atlanta. And when I got back, Jody Hamilton pulled me over to the table and he said, they want to know if you can go on the road and work Eric sometime. And I said, yeah. I said, hell yeah. I mean, what are you going to say when they say, hey, you want to go on the road and work Eric? So I said, yeah, when? And they go, well, can you go tonight? George South, an Italian stallion, had trained me. So that's who I went to TV with. They were giving me some clothes to take because all I had was what I had on in my gear. And so people are giving me some clothes to wear, take on the road because I'm going to be gone 5 days. So I jump in the car with Arn Anderson. No, I'm scared shitless now. Here I am 2.5 years in the business, and I'm getting in the car with Arn going on the road. Yeah, that was my start. And then after that night, the next night I got in with Harley Race, Barbarian, and Hercules Hernandez. So there's almost 100 years of experience back then in the car.
Yeah.
And me with my 3 years,
greener than hell.
Yeah, they took care of me. I roomed with Barbie. I just met Barbie just right before that, maybe a week before that or something at TV. And so I'm rooming with Barbarian. Well, they took me out. Of course, them guys like to drink a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
So I get in the car with them. Harley's driving. Hercules is in the front seat. Me and Barb, I'm behind Harley, and Barbie's beside me in the back seat. So we're going down the road, and Harley goes, he gets a beer out, and he goes, when I'm done and you hear the crunch, I want to hear psst in the back seat. So lo and behold, I forgot the first one. He goes, kid, Where's my beer? So I learned that to have it ready when he wants it. And he's driving. We're going down,
Absolutely.
Texas. We're in Texas. That was my first tour. Was in Texas. You can see forever, and it's flat.
Right.
I look down. Harley's doing like 85, just no cars out, drinking that beer, and you hear that crunch and the window go down, and you'd hear in the back seat, he's ready for another one. So that was my first time on the road with WCW.
So, how long into your WCW run was it when you first met Dennis, who would obviously become your partner? And what was your first impression of him?
Well, I had went down with George and Italian Stallion, George South, a few times. I worked Ron Simmons, I worked Sting, I worked Johnny B. Bad, I worked PN News, I worked Elegante. I think I had another match or two, and then I had my match with Eric Watts. And right after that, after I went on the road, when I came back off the road, I did TV. We were in Georgia doing a TV somewhere, not Atlanta, right outside of Atlanta. I can't think of the name of it, but we were doing a TV taping there. And they had asked me if I wanted to come to work for the company. And I said, hell yeah. I was just out on the road with, all these guys. I was excited. I said, well, we're bringing this other big guy in. And it was Tex, he'd been down in Memphis. And so they brought him in and we met that night. And, it's just weird. It just like I knew we were going to get along. And, everybody says we're like the 1% tag teams because we've never had, in 32 years, we've never had a crossword. We live together, we stay together. When we do these signings coming up, we get one room, one big room, and we enjoy our time together. And it's been that way for 32 years. So it was a good impression, and we hit it off quick right off the bat, and the rest was history, man.
That's awesome because you hear about when guys spend that much time together, it's almost a natural thing for you to just be at each other's throats. I mean, that's impressive that you guys could live together and be on the road 300 days a year and still have
Yeah,
that love for each other.
yeah.
To kind of put a bow on your time in WCW, you spent a lot of time there as Shanghai Pierce. What do you think? Obviously, your WCW run didn't work out. What do you think was kind of the biggest factor in it not working out?
Well, Flair had just come back out of retirement. Uh, they were getting rid of the young guys. They brought all the older guys back in, which is fine, which was sort of a blessing for us because they released me and Tex and Hunter.
Right.
And of course, uh, I went up before Dennis, like a year, and he had some stuff he had to work out, and he did that, and I kept pushing for him to come up, and finally, after about a year, they give him a dark match, and shit, they put him in overalls, and we were right back, picked up right where we left off.
I wonder how things worked out for that Hunter guy. I hope he's doing okay in the
Yeah,
business.
I think he did a little something after that. I know he
So
got
we
I know
kind
he got
of
flopped one time on TV.
yeah, yeah. Oh, we're gonna get there. Trust me. Um, Obviously, we were talking about it a little bit just now. The opportunity to join the WWF at the time. How did that come about? How did that opportunity come about?
Well, when we got our pink slip down there at WCW, um, I went to work. I started hustling. I talked to Kevin Nash and I talked to Harley Race, and Kevin told me to make a 20, 30 minute or 20-minute promo tape. So I got the guys in WCW to make me a promo tape. And matter of fact, I just found it the other day. It says Shanghai Pierce highlight tape, and it says
Wow.
the master copy. So I found that, and I found a lot of stuff. We have to touch on that too. But yeah,
Oh my God.
Vince was looking for young guys, and it was a blessing that WCW let us go. And because we got a real chance, I got a chance to go up there and prove who I really was. I'd learned a lot in WCW. It was more like a training course for us.
Yeah.
Uh, Never really felt like I was at home there. I had a lot of good friends. Barry Windham took us under his wing, and hell, he stayed with us some. And uh, so I was surrounded with good people, but I just didn't get that opportunity like Vince was providing. And
Right.
so I was blessed when I got to go up there, and then I worked a year by myself, and then Phineas got his shit straightened out and come up there, and we picked up where we left off.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that singles run that you had before Phineas came in. I would say probably the most memorable thing you did as a singles competitor, obviously, was your feud with Triple H, where you had the now infamous hog pen match at In Your House. Do you have any fun stories or memories from that match? Obviously, everyone's heard about Owen herding all the animals into Vince's office that day.
I was going to tell that one, but uh, just you know, uh, me and uh, Triple H found out we were going to be in this hog pen match. They were going to build a hog pen, and they were going to have live hogs in there, and uh, we could work in the ring. And then we walk down and we work around the hog pens. And Hillbilly Jim was guest referee
Right.
for that match. It was Vince said, "Can you guys handle this? Can you guys come up with the match?" And me and Hunter went out and come up with the whole. That was me and him that come up with that match. So I was pretty tickled, and we even got put up for the one of the top matches of the year. We were in California for the Slammy Awards, so we got a whoop whoop for that. And but yeah, it was a hell of a match. Had such great chemistry with Hunter. Um, just two young guys, eager, and pulled it off. And when we came to the back, he'd cut his back on the fence, and I'd pressed him and slammed him in all the hog shit and mud that had accumulated all day. And I even told we were talking about me and Taker were talking about this on his when I did the 6 Feet Under podcast a while back. That we were afraid Hunter was going to come up with some new swine disease because he got we were afraid he was going to get catch something because I didn't know his back was cut, and I pressed him and slammed him in it, and
Yeah.
so it was pretty nasty. But he survived, and he didn't grow no hooves or nothing, so he's okay. But yeah, just, what a good time to be up there, and me and Hunter was ready for we was ready for it.
Yeah. Do you wish, obviously, when Dennis comes and Henry and Phineas become the Godwinns tag team, that's probably where you enjoyed your most success. But do you wish you could have done more as a singles competitor, or were you happy to kind of start the tag team up?
I mean, I'm good either way. I would have liked to have did a little bit more. I had a couple things with Bret Hart, and I loved working Bret. And he just said that in a podcast a while back, he said, "What about Henry?" They were talking about people he liked to wrestle, and somebody brought me up, and he took off from there. He enjoyed working with me, and I enjoyed working with him. But yeah, I wish I could have had a singles run. Me and Taker had a hell of a match before me and Hunter did our little do-si do for about 6, 7 months. I had a match with Undertaker. This is probably 3 or 4 months after I started up there, so I was just getting a feel of everything. But we had like a 15-minute match on Raw, and we beat he gave me a lot. You can go back and watch it. Henry Godwinn and Undertaker on Raw, I think. I had control of that match for a while. When I got to the back, he goes, And he knew me a little bit, but he goes, I like that. Me and you are going to work together. So and I had a good match with Kevin Nash, and I liked working the big guys too. But yeah, I wish I would have had a little run.
Yeah, and I think speaking as a fan from that time, I definitely wish you would have had more of a singles push. But obviously, the Godwinns were second to none. One of my favorite tag teams as a kid. Um, who are some of your favorite teams that you got to work with? Because I mean, you really, looking back, had a who's who of talent, whether it be Chris Candido and Dr. Tom, Owen and Davey, the Road Warriors. I mean, who are some of your favorite teams to work back then?
The Road Warriors were at the bottom of the list. They were fun to work with, but hard to work, you know. And I love
Yeah,
both of them. I miss them both. But we loved working Skip and Zip, Doc and Chris. We could have done without Sonny, but she was in there, so we had to take her with the team. Loved working headbangers. We had so many good matches with the bangers. And I just talked to Chaz yesterday for a while. Uh, one of my favorite tag teams in WCW was Buff Bagwell and Too Cold Scorpio. We worked
oh, okay.
in Beach Blast. You can pull that match up sometime. Look at that Beach Blast. I think it was
Yeah,
maybe 92 or 93. But yeah, the Headbangers, Bradshaw and Wyndham, when they were the Blackjacks, we had a lot of
the
good
new
time.
Blackjacks. Yep.
So yeah, there was a whole slew of good tag teams back then. So it was a lot of fun back then. Tag teams meant something back then.
Exactly. Exactly. And then speaking of the Road Warriors, obviously I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about it. Can you talk a little bit about the accident and the injury, obviously that occurred when you took that bump from the Doomsday device?
Yeah, I'll tell the whole story. Uh,
I would love to hear it.
we they told us when we got to TV we were going to be uh, working Road Warriors because we had dropped the belts to them before that, or right around then. Uh, but they said, yeah, we're going to have a good match, and they're going to get you. They want Henry to take the Doomsday device. So I knew Hawk wasn't in his right mind. I'll just put it that way at TV. So I didn't trust him with what they wanted to do. So I didn't stooge him out. I just told the office. Pat Patterson was there, and Pritchard, and uh, Blackjack Lanza, and I said I just don't feel comfortable doing it. I've never taken it, but I wasn't really worried about taking it. It was just Hawk wasn't in his right mind. So uh, me and Joe had said, what if we just do like the electric chair where Joe goes down with me as like one unit instead of me taking the flip?
Right.
And the office said, no, they want Henry to take the flip. So sure enough, Henry took the flip, cracked my seat. Uh, that's the only thing that really disappointed me with the company was they didn't believe me. They didn't trust you know. Uh,
Yeah.
but no, it happened. Shit happened, and I guess everything happens for a reason. Uh, but yeah, it was heartbreaking because I came back after that. Well, the accident I did took the flip, landed on my head, cracked my C7. I felt something. It didn't knock me out, but it gave a big flash, and I was stunned. But then I felt something in my mouth, like somebody had poured sand in my mouth a little bit, and it was
Wow.
teeth had chipped. Some of my teeth had chipped. So I got up and finally walked to the back, and man, they grabbed me back there and took my overalls down to my waist and laid me on a cold floor, that concrete floor, because my body was trying to help it. It was trying to protect, and everything was getting just swelling up and getting real tight. So
Yeah.
they called the ambulance. This was in Binghamton, New York. and they took me to the hospital, and some Indian doctor took care of me and give me an MRI and said, "Yeah, you got a cracked C7." He said, "You need to go home for 14 weeks and just ice and lay around and relax, and then have another MRI." Well, in 6 weeks, I was on the phone with the office saying, "Hey, I want to come back." So I went back, and that's when we were doing the Southern Justice. When Jeff Jarrett was our manager, and Robert Fuller did the Colonel Parker, he was our manager. I really hate that Southern Justice didn't get to take off like it was going to. They had big plans for us. Matter of fact, the night I went home, my last match up there was against Road Dog and Billy Gunn, and they had the
Mhm.
belts. Well, we got to TV that day, and they said we were going to drop the belts on you guys as Southern Justice. And then Vince come to me and said, "How does your neck? How do you feel?" And I said, "It's pretty rough feeling." So he said, "Well, why don't you go home? We'll wait on the belts. Why don't you go home and get an MRI done?" Because I wrestled 7 weeks with a broken neck with a cracked C7.
Right.
Vince, Vince had a trainer working with me every night, icing, massaging, taking Advil, all the precautions, and trying to get it worked out. It had pinched a nerve, and I could do 90-pound dumbbells with this arm, and I couldn't do 15 with my right arm. So I knew something wasn't right.
Yeah.
So I came home, and I had spinal fusion done, and it got a little better after that. But yeah, Southern Justice was really going to be something cool. We shaved Howard Finkel's head with Jeff Jarrett while we were Southern Justice. And rest in peace, I loved Howard. When I went back, he came up to me and says, "Mark, I never grew my hair back after y'all shaved my head." And I'd seen that picture pop up in the ring where we were shaving his head. He said, "I loved it. I wish y'all would have shaved me years ago." So yeah, it was a good time. I loved Howard. So we had a lot of fun, but just a couple decisions turned my life around, and Dennis's and everything. So, but hey, I'm still here.
Yeah. Was and I don't want to speak ill of them because neither one of them are with us anymore. But when that accident happened, obviously we all know the struggles that Hawk was having at that time. They don't need to be delved into. But was there animosity after that? I mean, obviously that wasn't just an accidents happen kind of thing. Was there ever any animosity between you guys after that?
No, no, there wasn't. I felt a little ill towards the office because they didn't listen to me. We could have
Right.
changed. We could have still done it and changed it just a fraction. I, who knows what would have happened then? Southern Justice would have took off, and hell, I may be working in the
Right.
office now. But we'll never know what would have happened. Yeah, just a little tweak, and we could have went on with our life. But
Yeah.
yeah, right after that, I guess some of the boys thought there was animosity because they wanted me to slop drop Hawk on the walkway, the grate that you walk out of the curtain by the ring,
Right.
and it's steel. It's So I did it and busted the back of his head open, and he had to get a few stitches. And I apologized, and it wasn't on purpose, and he knew that. I don't know why they wanted me to give him a slop drop on a slanted steel walkway, but
Right.
some of the boys thought, "Oh, you did that? Did you do that on purpose?" I said, "No, I didn't do that on purpose." But shit
So
happens.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and that's a hell of an outlook because not everybody would have been so, I guess, forgiving. As you seem to have been. Um, I want to talk a little bit about. Obviously, you weren't in it for very long, but the brawl for all. It's now infamous. It is ridiculed mercilessly. What were your thoughts on the Brawl for All and your time in it?
Well, me and Bradshaw were the first ones to fight. I just had sinus surgery done in Tennessee about 6 or 7 weeks before that. So I told him, I said, I don't think I should do this. And then, of course, the boys are talking me into it. So I did it. And I bloodied his nose and he hit me in the nose. And for about a month or 4 or 5 weeks after that, the whole side of my face was numb, like felt like pins and needles. But it was where I had that surgery and I got popped in the nose. But
Yeah.
and Bradshaw will even tell you I won on points because before we went out, we said we wouldn't take each other down, and I took him down twice and scored 10 points. But yeah, we sort of we connected with each other a few times, but I thought it was horse shit. It was all Vince Russo's little jolly kick he got on, and I don't like him. He was bad for the business. He didn't want us in the overalls. Said we shouldn't have the belts in the overalls. And I said, well, shit, Brick, come to my town. Everybody walking up and down the street has overalls on and work boots. So come down there and tell them it's fake. Tell them they shouldn't be wearing overalls. But yeah, he was a cancer in the sport. I didn't like it. None of the boys liked it.
Yeah, I was about to say I think you're one of a very long list that won't be exchanging Christmas cards with Russo anytime soon.
Jim Cornette would have beat the brakes off of Vince Russo if he could have got to him over that shit. Cornette,
I can only imagine.
yeah, Cornette hated it. He said it was the worst idea in wrestling history.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely top five, I would say. It was unnecessary and it did so much harm to so many guys' careers,
Yeah,
rather than any good.
yeah, and they were hoping Dr. Death was going to come in and beat everybody's ass, and it didn't work out that way. He got knocked out. Bradshaw got knocked out. Papa got knocked out, and them guys were hurting for a few days. Papa,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it took him a few days to get over that.
Yeah. I mean, and then they, Bart looked good for a while, and then they embarrassed Bart on the biggest show of the year with Butterbean.
With Butterbean, yeah. I just seen Butterbean too. I'm pretty close with him. He was he me and Phineas were in Detroit. I think we were at Cobalt Arena or Joe Louis Arena, one of the two. But he was our guest manager that night on the road. So he walked us to the ring. Pretty cool. I like Butterbean. He's a great guy. What a great story too.
Yeah, he was really struggling with some health issues for a while there and really seems to pull the nose up on that thing.
Yeah.
The next thing that I have on my list, I didn't even know about until I really started doing some research, but you almost had a comeback actually to the company back in 2006. You were in Deep South and you almost, it seems like, put the Godwinns back together with Ray Gordy. Any stories about what happened there, why it was scrapped and didn't happen?
There was a couple things. Ray wasn't ready for it, and I was trying to push the Godwinns. He was supposedly a Godwinn, and
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, just the chemistry wasn't there with him like it was with Dennis, and I'd lost my son, and so I was going through a lot of stuff too. I just lost my 14-year-old, a single dad. I had all that shit on me, but yeah, just I guess that ship had sailed. Wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think you ended up being released in 2007, and that was pretty much it. It seems like for the in ring stuff with the WWE.
Yeah,
Obviously, I cannot have you on here. I can't talk to you and not ask you about BSK. I want to talk about some happy things before I let you go.
yeah.
When do you first remember meeting Mark? And when's the earliest time you can remember like BSK, being a thing?
Oh, it was towards the latter part of '95. me and Mark he talks about it a lot too. It was always just him and Paul Bear that rode together.
Right.
So one night we were at TV. I just started. I didn't really have anybody to ride with. I'd rode with Jeff Jarrett. Had let me jump in the car with him, so I rode with him. And then Road Dogg got signed, and us three started riding together, which we were called the Three Amigos, and us three should not have been together all the time because we mischievous stuff. So, but yeah, we were at TV. It may have been about the time I worked Mark on Raw, and he said, "Hey, you want to jump in with me and Paul?" I said, "Yeah." Jeff and Road Dogg were doing their own thing, so I said, "Yeah, I'll jump in with you guys." I was tickled to death, so I got in the back seat. You could tell Paul was got sand in his vagina. He was all upset that I'd got doing it as a rib too on him. But then it just sort of stuck. Us three got along so good. I loved Paul so much, and I miss him. Him and Yoko were two hard ones for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I got in. And then Paul set me up at catering one day. Mark had went and got his food and come back to the table. Me and Paul went and got our food, and I made me a plate. And Paul says, "Oh, here, can you help me out?" He had his drink and his plate, and being all slick, he goes, "Oh, Mark, I'm supposed to get Taker some cucumbers. Can you carry these back?" I said, "Yeah, hell, I didn't know." I took them over and I set them by Mark. I said, "Oh, here's your Paul got." He looked at me like he was going to shoot me, and he's got white face. And then they told me the story. And Paul's over there behind me laughing. He thought it was so funny. But yeah, Taker does not like cucumbers. That's his like Kryptonite and Superman. That's his kryptonite.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember hearing the story about Paul putting the cucumber at the bottom of his drink, and he didn't realize it until he got finished drinking it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And then I started riding with them, and Yoko and Rikishi and Godfather wasn't up there when I started, but he came back and did the comma thing. And then
Yes.
that's when we all started, and Savio. Savio was the first one to get BSK tattooed on him. So,
Really, I did not
yeah,
know that.
he got it twice. I got mine's on me twice, but I didn't get mine till a little later. And then Dennis come up, and his initiation was to drink a fifth of Jack, which he did like Kool-Aid. But that
Yeah.
was that was his initiation into the BSK, and I was his sponsor. It was a
Oh,
good time. It was just big guy, 300-pound guys that loved being around each other. And I used to go. I Before Dennis come up, if we were out on the West Coast, Yoko he would make me go home with him for the weekend. So I've been to Yoko's house quite a bit. And, Rikishi lived out there, so he would stay out there too. But yeah, what a great family. Yoko, he was a hard one when that happened. And Owen, I mean, we just
yeah.
lost so many good people.
It's so unfortunate. Yoko is such a what if he had been able to pull the nose up on that and kind of get his body under control and his weight under control. You know,
He was,
Yoko is unbelievable.
yeah. I worked him in India, and that was a treat. I mean, we all got a little sick. Of course, I was the nerd that had the camera back then. I took the pictures. I got tons of pictures of just
Yeah.
random stuff. Taker getting ready to go to the ring, but he's sitting there looking at me, and he's sick as shit, man. I mean, both ends. And I took a picture of him, and you could just see it in the picture. Like, if I could get a hold of you right now, I would kill you. Yeah, I got pictures of Pillman and Arn and Dustin and all the guys back then. I got a bunch of pictures from Germany that I took. And I sent some to Kevin Nash of him and Razor together. So, matter of fact, when I did Taker's 6 Feet Under podcast, I took him some 8x10s of pictures of us on the bus and going through the hotel and just different pictures. He said, God, I'm so glad that you were the nerd that took pictures back then. I said, me too.
Yeah.
Like, good
Yeah,
memories.
absolutely. Absolutely. I remember I think he said that during the podcast episode that you were on. He said, thank
Yeah.
God that you were that nerd,
Yeah.
because he wasn't stopping to take any pictures.
No.
Obviously you talked about your love of Dennis and your friendship with Dennis. Do you have any good Dennis Knight stories that we can hear that aren't going to get anybody arrested?
Oh, man. I got, I got, it's weird. I got so many, they all run together. I get flustered trying to, because I'm overwhelmed with all the shit he done. I will tell this little
Yeah, he's
story.
definitely
We lived in
okay.
Marietta. We lived in a high rise. So me and Tex had our place. Kevin Nash lived a floor above us, him and his wife. I got to tell you a story about that. I'll tell that real quick. Kevin lived above us. Uh, Ganya and Barry Windham, Mike Graham lived in the penthouse in our building. Max Payne lived there. Uh, Steve Regal lived there. We were real close with Steve too. And but Dennis always, when we would drink, he would always get his guns out. So he goes, "Let's go up on the roof and shoot the gun." So we, middle of Marietta, about midnight, we go up to the top, shooting his gun up in the air in the middle of Marietta. But yeah, just me and Tex had we were together all the time. It was just crazy.
Yeah. He's
Uh,
definitely known. Obviously, he's known for being the wild child of that group. Maybe a tad bit unpredictable.
yeah, yeah, because you don't know what he's going to say and when he's going to say it.
You don't know what he's going to say, but you can be pretty sure it's going to be offensive to somebody.
Somebody will get butthurt over it. Yeah, but
Yeah, didn't isn't there a story where he wrecked one of Taker's motorcycles?
yeah, there sure is. Went down there. He stayed at Taker's. I think they were doing some ring work because Taker was going back to do something, and he's asked to ride. And Taker had just got this bike ready. He was actually going to sell it. So Dennis gets on it. He's riding down Mark's driveway, and all of a sudden you see ass over teacups and elbows. Tex does a perfect bump off the bike, and the bike crashes. Tex takes a bump and gets up. He goes, I'll go pack my bags. Taker was hot. Yeah, Dennis is a sweetheart. He'd do anything for you. And his stepdad was Ron Slinker. He wrestled a while. His mom, they'd come to Tennessee and they spent a weekend with us, with my parents and us. So our whole family was close. Uh, yeah, me and Dennis had some times together.
God bless him. I got to get him on the podcast soon because he's another one that's just so full of stories.
Yeah.
So I know you've addressed this before, and we're going to kind of tiptoe around it. Aside from the infamous Sunny bucket that you may or may not have just left in the locker room and told the boys do whatever, um, what typically went into those slot buckets? For like a normal night.
Uh, I would use like some lettuce, a little bread, milk. You got to get your white in there. And then I know DiBiase, he got slopped 3 times. He got some spaghetti and stuff like that. And then, but mostly I tried to keep it pretty basic. And I'd made it that night that we were going to slop Sonny. And we went to catering. I made my little half bucket of slop, and we ate, went back to the locker room, and I said, Sonny's getting slop. Nobody bother this tonight because she's getting
Hmm.
slop. And then we had to go talk about the match. Well, when I come back, the bucket was about an inch from the top. It wasn't where I had it half full. It was almost full. So then I got the rundown of who all, even Cornette was on Vice Channel a while back, one of them shows. And he
Yeah.
said there was 23 DNAs in that bucket. That all the boys that were
Oh
dipping were spitting dip in there, and Razor and Kid took it to the stall and come back. And so, yeah, it was
God.
pretty crazy.
I'd say poor Sonny, but let's be honest, nobody really feels bad for her.
Yeah, they're all pretty excited to know what was in the slop, everybody I talked to.
I love
But
that so
what,
much.
what's crazy is for years, or at least while I was there, nobody spilt the beans on what was in the bucket.
That is impressive, honestly. A
That
locker
is
room
that
full of
that
wrestlers and nobody stooged.
that's major kayfabe there.
Yeah, that is impressive. Was there anybody was there anybody that really just didn't want to take that slot bucket? Obviously, I can't imagine people were lining up to take it, but is there anybody that just did not want to do it?
I don't think so. I never heard Cornette. I just watched match. He took it that night and wore the bucket on his head for like 10 seconds, flopping around. But Cornette, he was the man. He's so smart in his
Yeah,
business.
I was just about to say Corny, he'll take one for the team for sure.
Yeah, but DiBiase got it 3 times, and after the first time, he told Vince, he goes, "You got to buy me suits now because these are getting my suits messed." So I think
Yeah,
DiBiase said that Vince had to buy a couple suits. And
it's fantastic.
Sid took it one night. He got a lot of oatmeal and stuff. His was good.
So I guess to bring this thing home, there's three questions that I love to ask every guest. The first being, now that you're kind of removed from the pro wrestling life, what do you enjoy doing these days? In the free time.
Well, I live in Appalachia. In the mountains, and we got 10 acres. Uh, Raise hogs, have chickens. Uh, like to hunt, fish. Uh, yeah, we just took a hog to the train station and
So you're
worked.
just a good old country boy at heart.
Yeah, and worked it up, and so we got fresh hog meat now. I'm a firm believer. I like knowing what I eat, and the stuff you get out of the stores they're trying to feed us now, I just can't do. I don't do processed stuff. Try to eat clean and uh, clean food, and I raise them, so I know what I'm putting in them, and I don't put no junk in them, and they get wormed, loved, and fed, and that's all they get from me.
I love that. I love that. Do you have a piece of advice? And it doesn't have to be. It can be wrestling related, but it doesn't have to be. Do you have a piece of advice that maybe you try to live by, or kind of just has stuck with you through the years?
When I've always been quiet and just sit back and listen, try to learn. Uh, George South told me just be humble, sit and listen, and you'll take all this stuff in. I and I like treating people the way I want to be treated, and that's always helped me. And I haven't heard of anybody saying bad things about me in the business, so I guess I did something right. I've tried to treat everybody the same, and just be good to people, and love your country, love your neighbor.
I love that. That's fantastic. Those are good words to live by. I love that. And then finally, we're going to bring this thing home. At this point in your life, what does the word success mean to you? What do you need to be successful?
Well, I got a good family. I lost my son, but my other son Shane's in Tennessee. Uh, got some stepkids, and just a good family, man. I love being at home, and I love the mountains, and I just love the woods and everything. Uh, I feel like I'm successful now. I did what I wanted to do, and I think I did it pretty much to the best of my ability. And I had good people. I surrounded myself with good people on the road. Uh, the BSK was a good crew, and I got along with the clique. I was close with Kevin and Hunter. We even went one weekend me and Tex went to Sean's house when he was in San Antonio. We spent the weekend with Sean. So BSK was my crew, but we got along with everybody. Me and Tex were like the social butterflies, and
Yeah,
so we just like people, and I still like people, good people. I don't like being around big crowds anymore because so much shit going on now. But yeah, I think lived my life pretty good and had good friends and good family, and just try to be good to each other.
I love that, man. That is such wonderful advice, for anyone in any facet of life. Before I let you go, obviously, I want to plug some stuff that you got going on, man. I know BSK Organics. You've been promoting on the Instagram page a little bit. Should we be keeping an eye out for that?
Yeah, we're just trying to find the right route to take on this. So we're just stay tuned right now.
Okay, and I'm gonna link your Instagram in the description so people can follow you and they can stay up to date on that whole thing. And
Okay.
another thing they're gonna want to stay up to date on, coming up, and I am gonna butcher the name of the town. Is it Chillicothe,
Chillicothe,
Ohio?
Ohio. Yep.
Hey, the
You did.
OG Godwinns making a very rare appearance, complete with Hillbilly Jim. That is something special that people should be checking out for sure. When is that?
That is March 8th in Chillicothe, Ohio. And it's the first time we're going to be reunited with Hillbilly since 1997. So we're looking forward. I talked to Hillbilly the other day, and he's all jacked about it. So it should be a good time.
Hell
Sabi,
yeah, that is awesome.
I talked to Buff Bagwell today. He's going to be there. So I get to see all my old boys, my buddies.
I love that. That is going to be can't miss. If you are in the Midwest, near Ohio, you guys got to get down to that because that OG Godwin's reunion alone is worth the price of admission. Who knows if that'll ever happen again, honestly.
Yeah, it's hard to get Hillbilly out. He says I'm an old man now and I don't like people. But he said a few months ago he don't like travel. He don't like the airports. He hadn't been in one in so
Yeah,
long. He just don't like the traveling. He's 70 something, maybe 71 or two. I think he told me. But yeah, this will be a. He said I'll do this. I would love to do one more with you guys. We finally got it. I've been working on this for like a year. So we finally got it together, and he's coming, and it should be a good time. Mankind will be there, and Savio, Bagwell, Two Cold Scorpio is going to be there. Well, should be a good
that's going to
time.
be a who's who right there. Yeah, that's going to be a who's who right there. And I want to drop the Instagram one time. It's going to be Henry O. Godwinn, guys, on Instagram. Make sure you go give Mark a follow. Like I said, BSK Organics. He's always promoting his dates on the road. Um, Mark, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be on the podcast tonight, man. I could sit here and talk to you for 8 more hours if you'd let me. But
Got to
we'll
say
definitely have to do this again.
one more thing. Did we mention
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
WrestleMania and WrestleCon?
We have not. We have not. What do you got coming up at WrestleMania?
Well, I'm booked at WrestleCon, so we're just waiting to see if Undertaker is going to have us do the podcast out there at Wrestle in Vegas or not. So, if not, I'm still at WrestleCon. So, y'all come out
Okay.
to Vegas and enjoy. Godfather will be there. We're going to be a crazy time in his backyard.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, you're in Godfather's backyard, so God knows what's going to happen in Vegas.
He's the only one that knows God.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't even think about WrestleMania coming up. It comes up quick on you. Make sure that's another reason to follow Henry Godwinn, Henry O. Godwinn on Instagram, guys, because you can find out what's going on with WrestleCon, his WrestleMania schedule. Because as a fan, we all know WrestleMania weekend gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's fun.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But you got anything else for us, Mark?
I guess that's it, man.
Hey, we're going to have to do this again sometime because I know we barely scratched the surface on the stories you got.
We didn't make a dent. It's like pissing in the ocean.
That's right. But we're definitely going to have to take another crack at it pretty soon. For sure. Heck yeah, absolutely. Well, again, I want to thank you, Mark, for coming on. Everybody, like I said, go to the Instagram, follow him, help him out here. We got to get to Ohio, get that line going.
Yeah.
Get to WrestleCon.
That's it.
Keep an eye out for BSK Organics. But until next time, again, thank you, Mark, for coming on. We're definitely going to have you back. And that's it for this week, guys. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. And make sure at the end of the day, you call your mom. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Jared.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.